built to escape the turmoil of Chicago. Seemingly unconcerned with labor unrest in the city and in the town he owned, Pullman arrived for work as usual at his palatial company headquarters on Michigan Avenue. Stepping out of a carriage driven by a well-dressed black man who wore his own high hat, the world-renowned industrialist and city builder entered his office building looking as he did every morning, walking purposefully and wearing his usual outfit, a Prince Albert coat, striped trousers, and patent leather shoes. Yet beneath his businesslike demeanor, George Pullman suffered from feelings of uncertainty. "My anxiety is very great," he wrote to his wife, "although it is said that I appear very cool and unconcerned about it." The stunning breadth of the 8-hour strike shocked him. He had constructed his company town 9 miles from industrial Chicago, where poverty and despair had poisoned relations between manufacturers and their hands and caused frequent strikes, lockouts, and riots. In Pullman's model community, carefully selected workmen earned high wages, rented comfortable new houses, and lived a healthy life in a clean place. Now the toxic fumes of class antagonism were wafting through the streets of his planned community. "Some change must occur very soon now," he told his wife, "but I cannot yet predict what it will be." Like George Pullman, other businessmen headed for work on May 5th, just as they always did, and with their usual frantic energy. When they arrived downtown, these men always stopped to buy the morning edition of the Chicago Daily Tribune, the self-proclaimed businessman's newspaper. But on this Wednesday, men grabbed the paper eagerly because they had heard rumors about a riot on the West Side the night before in which many policemen were hurt, and no one knew with any certainty what had happened. When they read the morning headline, they were stunned because it carried news of an event far worse than any of them imagined. "A hellish deed. A dynamite bomb thrown into a crowd of policemen. It explodes and covers the street with dead and mutilated officers. A storm of bullets follows. The police return fire and wound a number of rioters. Harrowing scenes at the Des Plaines Street Station. A night of terror." The editors used all 7 columns of the front page to describe the shocking events of May 4th in elaborate detail. A bomb thrown into the midst of 6 police divisions took an awful toll. At least 50 patrolmen had been wounded, several were near death, and one of them, Matthias Deegan, had already expired in the arms of a fellow officer. The list of injured men was long, and the descriptions of their wounds were sickening. The news story explained that the bombing occurred at the end of a meeting called by the city's socialists on Tuesday evening, May 4th, in order to denounce the police for killing some strikers at the McCormick Reaper Works in a skirmish that took place the previous afternoon. Roughly 1,500 people had gathered for a rally that began that Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on Des Plaines Street, quite close to Randolph Street, where it widened to become the Haymarket, a busy place where farmers sold their produce by day. August Spiess, the city's leading German socialist, had called the meeting to order and then had introduced the renowned labor agitator Albert R. Parsons, who spoke for nearly an hour. By the time the last speaker mounted a hay wagon to close the meeting, only 600 people remained, according to the news report. Samuel Fielden, a burly stone hauler, had begun his speech by noting premonitions of danger obvious to all. He told the crowd to prepare for the worst, claiming that since the police had shown no mercy to the unarmed workers they gunned down at McCormick's, then the police deserved no mercy in return. "Defend yourselves, your lives, your futures," Fielden shouted to a crowd the Tribune described as composed of Germans, who were the most enthusiastic, along with Poles, Bohemians, and a few Americans. At this point, a stiff breeze came up from the north, and, anticipating rain, more of the crowd left, the worst element, however, remaining, according to the Tribune's lead reporter. Fielden was winding up his address when witnesses saw a dark line of men forming south of Randolph in front of the Des Plaines Street police station. A few minutes later, the line started to move, and men on the outskirts of the rally whispered, "Police." The large contingent of 176 officers